Greetings, fine people. Today's the 8th of October, 2025. And I got something going here that I think would be kind of interesting. We started this, early spring. And what this is this is my number one grow field where I grow my Mangalitsa pigs. I can show you them. They're in number two. They're in number two field right now. Here's one happy gal. They're kind of spread out. They've been well fed today, so they're just kind of relaxing. And this is how this field looks now. And it turns out the last thing that they're going to go after is the daikon radishes or the forage radishes. That's the last thing they're getting. They got everything else first. So this field here, field one, what we did was a friend of ours gave us some Jerusalem artichokes, and that's what you see poking up here. And they're still growing. They're just starting to flower out right now. And here it is, October 8th. I'm not sure why they're so late. I really don't know. They didn't do as well as the ones up by the barn did. The ones up by the barn are about 15 feet high. And so I came out here. I wanted to see exactly how they're doing. Like maybe they're putting all their energy into their roots is what I was hoping. So I came out and I pulled one up. This one is about 5 feet and it's flowered. Not much of a flower. Nice, but it doesn't really have a smell. So I pulled it up and this is what's on the bottom of it. Not a lot. Not a lot. And I ate a couple of them to see what they tasted like. Not bad. But the bigger ones definitely are better and sweeter than these ones. These are Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes. But so I'm at kind of a fork in the road. I don't have to make a decision on this today. These would be great right here to get planted right now. Maybe I will do that with these. Just sacrifice these ones and plant them someplace else and they'll come up next spring. But you know, I don't see a purpose in turning pigs in here right now because there's not much for them. On a more mature plant that's, 2 inches in diameter stalk and 15 feet high, they'll just be 5 to 10 pounds of these roots on the bottom. I mean, they really put it out. And what I wanted to do in this field was get them established, so that they just couldn't be stopped. But I think at this point, if I turn pigs in here, they will work diligently and get all of these dug up, and they will put an end to them. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just let them go, let them winter, and then in the spring, they'll start off. They'll have plenty of moisture. The ground will be nice and soft. You can see that a bunch of other stuff grew in here too, kind of weeds and things. And most of that's kind of died back. We've been super dry for the last 2 months. So that definitely has an effect. Just to see, just for fun, I'll take this over here to these pigs and throw it in with them and kind of demonstrate how they feel about this. Let me put this down for a second, switch it around. Come on. Whoop. Cameraman. Okay. Here we go. Oh, look at that. They're going after the tops first. Okay, let me put some of these down here, see what they do. That's Gonzo. Yep. Wolfing them down. Yeah, so I think you can conclude from that demonstration that they like them pretty good. Well, that was not my question. I knew that they did because I'd fed them to them before when we had that big harvest last fall. But what I think would be really cool is if you had a stand of them out here that there's no way they could get in front of. That would be cool because it would come up year after year. There's a lot of nutrient in these fields because they're in these fields, and so they're manuring quite a bit. And I don't know, you know, like they have plenty of time to be out here and be searching around for every little morsel that's edible. So I don't know if they would get them all or not. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think that I'm going to let them in on this. I think I'm going to let this go until next spring and see what happens then. If I did and they got in and they got 50% of them, we planted 600 bulbs out here. And so then we'd be down to 300 plants. So, but once you have a stand like I have up by the barn, it's thick. It's like elephant grass thick. I don't know as they'd get them all. And you might be able to move them before they did. But I'm getting a lot of interest lately on these beautiful pigs, and I think it has to do with people are starting to understand that they will make really world-class pork on just about anything. So in these fields, these 3 fields, I don't spend very much money to seed them. And I just go out there with a hand seeder and then just kind of cover it up with a drag. And it just grows because the fertility of the field comes up after every cycle. And that's one of the beauties of this pig is they will eat all this stuff and make good quality pork out of it. I guess I said that. Something else that I think I probably should bring to your attention. One of the services that we've provided here that people have taken us up on, I just got done with a phone call with a gal. She was calling for her parents. And we have a pretty good group of people that like to come here when they have, you know, time, like on a Saturday morning, and then pick out a pig. I want that one. And then we come over with the front end loader. Electric fence is working. Front end loader and a 22. Shoot the pig, pick it out, and bleed it, and then turn it over to them. Let them use our facilities to. Some of these people like to burn the hair off, and then they like to cut it up their own certain way that they do in their home countries. Hungary, Romania. That's all I can think of right now. But you know, anybody can do that. You don't have to be Hungarian or Romanian to do that. And it's something to think about because it's quite inexpensive to buy a pig on the hoof, right? Just walking around. And then if you're willing to put in the elbow grease on it, we're here and we can help a little. Not going to stand by your side the whole time, but usually to saw it down the middle, you know, I can help with that. If you don't know anything about it, you know, maybe it's time to take one of our pig classes. But if you do know something about it, or you've taken care of a deer or something like that, it's not a bad way to go. You can get a lot of meat in your freezer and very high quality meat. One of the things about the Mangalitsa is they call it a chuffy pig or a lard type pig. So they do generate a lot of fat. And as Americans, we've been trained that fat is bad, right? And actually fat is not bad. It's just bad quality fat is bad, because that's where a lot of the bad things that are being sprayed on crops and in the environment and things like that congregate, right? But like, I don't use any sprays at all, you know, so everything that goes into them is just fresh water, the forages that I plant for them, and then the feed that they get, which is 90% or 85% organic bread, believe it or not. Yeah, I get a lot of bread. So they're good quality and safe quality, and then that fat can be rendered down, and you use that any place that you would use cooking oil or butter or, you know, Crisco, anything like that. Use lard instead. That's kind of the way we used to do things. I mean, we even make French fries fried in Mangalitsa fat, and they're some of the best fries that you will ever eat in your life. And it's because of the quality of the fat. And modern pigs, like pink pigs, they don't have much fat, and so you really miss out on it. But some people are accustomed to that, and they think that fat is a bad thing for them. Like, eating fat will make you fat. Actually, it's the opposite. Eating fat helps keep you trim, because it signals your body that you've had enough, so you don't eat anymore. Plus, you need it for your joints and brain and other places where fat is the building blocks of the human body. And it turns out that pigs are really compatible with human beings. I'm sure everybody's heard that they use pig valves in human hearts and things like that. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. But this is what we're doing. I do have some breeders available. I have 2 breeding pairs from dissimilar bloodlines that I'd like to sell to somebody before they get too big to handle. And if they were purchased now, they would be ready to breed in the spring, which is perfect, because then they start on that cycle of farrowing in the spring, and then they farrow again in the fall. And you can expect, per female, you can expect about 7 per farrowing. Now, it does vary, because when she first farrows, her first farrowing, it'll be low. And then at her last farrowing, and she could be 6 years old, it will also be low. And that's how you know that she's kind of running out of eggs. Kind of interesting. A pig is born, a female pig is born with every egg she will ever produce. She is born with that. Same as a human, same as a woman. Yep, same as a chicken. Yep, kind of interesting. But breeding has been good for us. We've done well with it. There's a lot that goes with it, but it's a good program if you're willing to jump into it and run it for all it's worth. All right. If you need any details on that, you can call the farm or something. Anyone can farm.